Hi there, and welcome to the Wednesday podcast live on This is Ibrox. I'm your host, Kyle McLean, and as always, I'm joined by two fantastic guests. Firstly, Kieran Wallace, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. As we were talking off there, saying yesterday, you guys were talking about not having much to talk about, and I think this show could go on for about 2 hours tonight. But not to worry, we'll keep it under an hour.
Yeah, we'll do our best, but yeah, plenty of transfer rumours, ins and outs to get into. Ross, how's yourself today as well?
I'm not bad, thanks, Kyle. Yeah, it's good to be back. Like we said last night, there wasn't a lot to talk about, but yeah, it looks like there's a few transfer rumours to get into. So yeah, let's get stuck in.
There we go, and just a wee special shout out to Pete Lawrence, who's saying evening guys from Tangier in Morocco. So if you know anybody that knows anything about Hamza Igaman, give us a wee shout in the messages, all right? But yeah, look, as always, lots to talk about today. We'll discuss Abdallah Sima. I think I've had to change my agenda a few times today, saying looking likely to move to FC Brest, but we have had confirmation that he is away to France. Two wingers that are being touted to go into Rangers as well. Tiago Gouveia will go with, and Josip Brekalo. Some rumours that just won't go away about Matondo to Leeds again. Hadji being linked with Rapid Bucharest, which is a bit crazy given the links to his dad in Stal Bucharest. Heard late last night, Dessers apparently turned down a move to Atalanta in the MLS for about 4.5 million. Interesting wee tweet about the Dundee game in the Cup, and look ahead to the Ross County game at the weekend as well. We'll begin with the news, Kieran, that we heard today that Abdallah Sima has joined FC Brest on loan from Brighton, a player that I think we would have all liked to have seen back at Rangers. I'm not entirely convinced that if we'd beaten Dynamo Kiev, he might have actually been a Rangers player, but yeah, what do you make of Rangers missing out on Abdallah Sima for a year at least anyway, Kieran?
I've not had away for how much I absolutely love Sima. I'm pretty gutted about this one, especially that it's a loan move. I think I could have accepted it a bit more if they had came in with like big money and bought him, but I'll not go in too deep on the team. I know how much you boys love Brest, so we'll get that one now. Come on, the Rangers die.
No.
Do you not just think that we could have pushed the boat out a wee bit and tried to get him back on loan? I know, and they've got an option to buy of €6 million, I heard, which disappoints as well. Like, that's something that we could 100% have afforded had we even get through that game against Kiev. Makes it that wee bit more disappointing because the difference he would have made to our team would have been unbelievable. I don't think for a second we've not tried to get him, but I think it was Ross discussed it a while ago, saying that if we were going to get him, it would have been late in the window, and here we are. Brest have pipped us to it, and it's just a real frustrating one. He's a fantastic player. Don't get me wrong, he's had his injury issues. It is what it is. We'll see how he gets on there, and maybe we get a chance at him next year. Who knows?
Well, that's it exactly. William Owen here says Sima deal's nothing to do with money. Brighton want him to get Champions League exposure. That's why it's been announced just after we've been knocked out. I know, because I was thinking it was a bit confusing when looking at it that there was a £6 million option deal to have, because I'm sure when Sima signed for us, he only had 1 year left on his Brighton deal, but it seems that they've triggered an extra year on that. So yeah, by all accounts, if he has a season over there, it might be a player that we look to get in the future, and I'm sure will be I'm sure there'll be many a podcast linking Sima with Rangers if that loan isn't converted into a permanent fixture. But listen, let's get into some of the transfer rumours, Ross, here, because a couple to discuss, which is I feel like it's been a couple of weeks since we've actually discussed transfer rumours, and whether or not how much truth there is behind these, not sure, but listen, they're what everybody's talking about in the socials. The first player I'd like to discuss is Tiago Gouveia, currently at Benfica, Portuguese under-21 international, struggled to break through into the Benfica team in the last couple of years, but I think he had 13 appearances last year. I think he came off the bench at the weekend and obviously scored, so that'll add an extra £1 million on his valuation. But yeah, this very much seems to be the sort of player, the profile that Rangers have been going for this summer already. What do you make of this link? And is a winger a priority at Rangers?
I think it's one of the priorities. Yeah, I'm encouraged that we are being linked with wingers again. I think the Abdallah Sima news in the last couple of days, I don't think it's a surprise that we're now seeing others being linked to come in. I'm sure I said this early on in the window when it came to Rangers, they would probably have a lot of kind of moves lined up, and they're trying to maybe understand which one of them is viable. It looks like Abdallah Sima was maybe one of those players that they were, like Kyran said, willing to push the boat out for if they had some funds coming in, but unfortunately we've not had any coming in with that departure from the Champions League. So we've obviously moved on to other targets. Abdallah Sima's decided to move on to another club on loan, and I think this is maybe players that are further down the list for us that we're looking at. So I don't know a lot about both players, other than the research you do when players are linked. I can't say I've watched either player a lot and give you a full breakdown on them, but certainly looks like they're two, wingers that are willing to go at their man with the ball, cutting inside a lot, which is the type of profile that most clubs look for these days. So, look, I think it's an encouraging one. I'm not convinced the Gouveia one's going to materialise based on the figures I seen quoted last night. I think it was around 7-8 million euros, and I'm just not sure Rangers are going to go in and get a player on a permanent for that. Maybe there's an opportunity to bring him in on loan with an option to buy potentially. But look, I don't think we have a lot of money to go and play around with at the moment. So that maybe is the most likely route. But ultimately, the player I like, I can't say that I know lots about him, but I think we're at this stage, Kyle, where we've really not had a lot to talk about and discuss, and I think we all feel that the squad it's not in a position to push on this season and challenge for trophies, and ultimately that's what we need to be doing. So being linked with players that can come in and make an impact, that's encouraging. We'll just have to wait and see if this one materialises.
Yeah, definitely. It will be interesting to see. RFC72 here says, Kyran, with the rumoured fee being around €8 million, I highly doubt it will happen with Benfica. But as Ross said there, it wouldn't surprise me now, given the sort of situation the club finds itself in, that we are going to be delving into the loan market now. Yeah. I think the other two teams that he was linked with were Anderlecht and Villarreal, which I think are roughly maybe the same standard as Rangers. And yeah, what do you make of a link to Benfica? I'm now thinking about it, I actually think he might have did he come on as a sub or something like that?
Twice, yeah. They come on, against us in both legs. But now Ross has hit the nail on the head. If there's any way we get this guy, it's on loan. But again, that's not unsuccessful. It's unsuccessful in terms of the rebuild, but if it's a loan with an option to buy, then I think that makes sense. You look across the city, what they've done with Jota, taking them from Benfica, picking them up for roughly 6 million and moving them on for 25. That's good business to me, and this is sort of where we should be looking to do. And I think we will see at least, I don't know, maybe 2 loan signings come in. I just can't see us spending any money. I think we've been slightly hoodwinked. I don't think the board have been completely honest with the costs with regards to the Copeland Stand expansion. It just seems to me that that's went crazily over budget. Hopefully that saga comes to an end soon, and I know we will speak about that, but I just think that's gazumped most of the transfer budget, and with the result against Kyiv, it's put a halt to that too. So I think if we're going to see any signings, it's going to be either a low transfer fee or a loan signing. So in terms of, I can't really pronounce his name, the boy for Benfica, I'd imagine it would be a loan signing. Don't get me wrong though, right? I'm the same as Ross and same as you. I don't know too much about him, but if he's coming off the bench for Benfica, who are a very solid side at the weekend in scoring, he's also came off the bench in the last 16 tie against us last season. Probably says he's a half decent player and he would do well at us.
Yeah, I totally agree for what it's worth. It's winger seems to be, and Clement said it even before this summer transfer window. Clement was going on about even last year how we needed wingers, and for me, just I'm sure we'll come on to it. Guys like Matondo, McCausland, Scott Wright, they're not good enough for what we need and for the amount of games we have and all the competitions we're in this season. But Listen, Ross, the next sort of transfer link that we have, another winger, this time except he's on the left wing. I believe he's right-footed. That seems to be a bit of a common theme this transfer window of buying wingers in, but having them playing the opposite side to what shoot they're predominant with. And it's Croatian international Josip Brekalo. I don't know if I'm saying that with a bit of an Italian accent just because of how much game time he's had in Serie A, but he was on loan at Hajduk Split from Fiorentina last year. He spent the first half of the season in Italy. I think he had 13, 14 games and then went back to his home country, obviously, just to get a bit of a restart. Interesting enough, I was reading up, it says he can play as a 10 as well, can play in the right wing, and he's got 35 caps for Croatia, which is never a bad thing. Again, what do you make of this link? You seem to be a bit more excited about this link when I was talking to you throughout the day about it.
Yeah, I think this one makes a lot of sense with the kind of rumours surrounding him in terms of the where he's comfortable in the park. You know, I seen a lot about him playing number 10. I think that was maybe when he was at Torino. And he was really, really good there. I also think the type of loan he's had last season going to Hajduk Split probably shows you that a move to Rangers isn't completely unlikely, right? Because I don't think you're going to be moving to the Croatian league and they're going to be a huge outlay to get them there. So maybe Fiorentina at this stage are just looking to get the guy off the books in any way they can. So maybe Rangers can take advantage of that. He's 26, like you said, 35 caps for Croatia. So that's a guy that's been about and he's played at a really good level. I think he was part of Croatia's squad for Euro 2020 and things like that. So he's done pretty well at like I said, a top level. So still plenty of time for him to kick on his career. 26. I think I read that he moved from Dinamo Zagreb to Wolfsburg maybe when he was 18 or something for 10 million euros. And we've seen plenty of transfers out there that people move on when they're young and it just doesn't really work out for them. There's too much money. I always think of João Felix, who's just signed for Chelsea, even a Fabio Silva that we had last season, you know, moving to Wolves for a 40 million fee when he's 18. And they just don't kick on, right? It's just too much too early. So maybe he's one of those, and maybe we can look at that as a potential for him to come in and, you know, make an impact here. There is always a risk with any signings like this, you know, that have been around and haven't been able to settle, but you've just got to trust, you know, Niels Koppen and Philippe Clement to recognise and pick up players in this market that can come and make a good solid impact for us. So yeah, this one encourages me a little bit more. I think this one is more realistic. I'm not convinced by the Gouveia one just because of the profile of the player who he's for at the moment. But yeah, the type of moves that Brekalo's made over the last couple of years makes me think this is one that could work. In terms of him coming in, I think we all feel that if we are going to stick with this number 10, it can't be Tom Lawrence for the season. He just does not give us enough. So if Brekalo can come in and, you know, provide competition or even become the starting number 10, I think that would really work for us. So yeah, I really like the link on this one. It looks like it's coming from reputable sources as well in terms of us asking about his availability. So yeah, I'd like to see this one, you know, materialize and maybe get pushed through because I think he could come in and do something for us. And I think we're all desperate at the moment. We need fresh blood in there. We need a bit of a, you know, a boost in this squad because we just certainly do not have enough right now. So yeah, I like the look of this one, Kyle, and I'd be positive if it went through.
Yeah, and Stevie Scotty 19 here with another wee tidbit. He says supposedly he's got the same agent as Václav Černý, which would make sense. I always love it when people say wee things like that, and it just makes you think, oh, there might actually be something else in this now. But Kyran, again, I was looking at, you know, the stats of these two guys in Gouveia and Brekalo, and only thing that they have won trophies at clubs they've been at, but the only thing that maybe concerned me from a Rangers point of view is they actually didn't seem to have scored that many goals in the past couple of years between the two of them, and that is surely that's something that we have to be identifying.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure who it was who put it in the chat. It might have been actually Ross, and it was the spider graphs about comparison to other players in the past, and I think Brekalo was compared to Ryan Kent. There's a name that should get the chat going in the comments going. In terms of, he's pretty direct, goes at players, creates a lot of chances, but doesn't quite have the numbers to his name, so it should fit in really well at us.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, you're not
he
joking.
does. He does. He's got a profile. He's got a profile, and like Ross says, the clubs that he's been around are relatively of the same level as ours. 26 again, though. Is this somebody we're really going to spend a fee on? I know Cherny's Wells are round about the same age, so I just don't know if we're going to spend a fee on a 26-year-old that's been around the block a bit and been out on loan. It's not like there's sell-on value there, because I think it is. Although we've not had a player trading model, it looks like we're now going in the direction of we're not going to waste money on anybody that we can't make a profit on. So for me, again, this one's probably going to come down to loan deal. But do you know what? I think we're at the stage now where we'll take anybody that excites us. The most excited we have got this transfer windows when the steel's been on time. There's been nothing to really get us off our seats yet, to be honest.
I know. Shipment free has arrived. That's what we're going to be singing in the stands at the weekend. So, listen, Kyran, I'll stick with you on this one as well here. And I know the guys briefly touched on them here, but it was the one that just sort of came out of total, literally left field for me was Domagoj Bradaric. Plays with Saltriana, apparently available for about £3 million. Played 34 times at left back in Serie A last year, but they were relegated to Serie B. Looks like he might be surplus to requirements there, but is a left back a position that Rangers should be prioritising?
It's this one, yeah, like you said, came out of left field. It's a bit of an unusual link, considering that we've got Jefte, we've got Ridvan, and we've also tied Robbie Fraser down for another 2 years. So he would come in as a fourth, which gets you scratching your head. Are they trying to move Ridvan on, or are we just accepting that Ridvan's completely injury prone and his body can't hold out and he can't be relied on? Like you said there, he's over 30 appearances last season in Serie A, bodes really well. What age is he? Have you got that wrote down anywhere? Do we know what age he is?
It is literally the only thing I don't have written down, but give me...
Oh, Kyle, I'm awful sorry, mate.
24.
Sorry, mate.
There you go.
He's what, 24?
24.
Yeah, so that's probably a more likely age we might go and spend money on. If he was to come here and have 2 solid years and move him on, then that's the type of business that the board would look at. But again, it would be the most Rangers thing ever if we were to sign our 4th left back of the squad when we're absolutely crying out for another centre mid, a number 10, and possibly another striker. It really wouldn't surprise me. But again, give us something.
Yeah, the only way I would maybe say on this, Kyle, is if they've looked at Jefte as being more likely to be a left wing option. It's the only way I can see this transfer being possible, because it doesn't make sense if they look at Jefte and Ridvan as the left backs for the season, and then you get Robbie Fraser supporting, right? Because I think that's the way it should always kind of be with the young players at Rangers. They should be in and around the squad and being able to participate and jump in when it's required, right? So I don't think it's a bad thing that Robbie Fraser's not necessarily a second choice at this point. I don't think the sport would really be comfortable with him being a second choice, actually. I think they would rather he kind of has that protection behind 2 others. So I just wonder if it's okay, we've seen Jefte further forward. You know, there is a lot of Jefte's game that I think still needs to be developed, but what we've seen so far has been really positive. I think he's been one of our better players this season so far, including Connor Barron. So do they maybe think that, okay, for this year, could we move Jefte forward as being competition for Cortez, and then we bring someone in to really, I mean, with Ridvan's injury record, you would be looking at bringing someone in to play, really, because Ridvan just can't stay fit, unfortunately. Good player there, but if you're not available, it doesn't matter. So I wonder if that's maybe the way the club are looking at it. I'll be honest, I just think this is just speculation. I just can't see this. I don't see Rangers putting funds into another left back when we're so short in other areas. But that's the only way I could possibly think it could happen if Jefte's going to move one forward for the season.
Yes, something to back up the speculation thing, Ross, is that I don't know if you noticed at the weekend that Robbie Fraser actually came on at left wing with Jefte still at left back. You not think the normal thing would have been to do there was to push Jefte forward and put Robbie Fraser at left back if they see Jefte as a left winger? I'm just not sure. Like you say, I think it is just speculation, although a lot of it does appeal to me.
Yeah, it's a good point. Robbie Fraser played actually further forward a lot in pre-season, if you remember as well. He seemed to be covered. I know we were quite short in pre-season, so that maybe made more sense. But yeah, I think you can look at it either way, yeah, because Jefty's obviously been brought in as a left back, so maybe with the Red Van injury now they've went, right, you're now settled in that role, you need to stay in there, you're going to be comfortable with it. So then if that was the case, yeah, I just can't see us bringing in another left back. I think we would go with those two. And obviously we're going to have Cortez coming back soon, and we've got some other wingers we're being linked with, and I would imagine regardless if Gouveia or Brekalo, if they don't come in, I do think Rangers will recruit in those areas. I do think they will bring a winger in. So yeah, maybe Jefty stays there. But yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there. That was the only possible route I could see us bringing in a left back, because any other way, I just don't think it makes any sense.
Listen, you two just don't want another Croatian at left back, do you? That's what the real reason is for this. Is here, but
I'll be honest and up front, Kyle, the twos just want Ryan Kent back. That's all we want.
Listen, I brought the comments up about it. I'm not discussing it, so that I'm just popping that balloon right now as we speak. But RFC72 here says Yilmaz will be gone in January. I think Clement's fed up with him and his injuries, and I don't think it's just Clement. I think it's also the support are starting to get that way as well, because he's another one that's come in. We could spend a whole podcast just talking about people that come in and get injured for Rangers in freak ways. But listen, I always love it when this happens, when I've got an agenda planned out and I want to try and stick to it, but I couldn't tell you a Wednesday where I've actually stuck to it. So everybody in the comments is seeming to be talking about positions that we should be prioritising. So let's talk about that. Ross, I'll come to you on this with in terms of straightforward question. What position? And you can't say all 11, right? Because we'd be here all day. So if you could pick a few players where Rangers need to prioritise, why do you think that? And why do you think the areas that we don't? Do you think the players are good enough in those areas?
Yeah, you took my line right off me there. I was definitely going to say the full 11. So fair play. You
see your face.
I actually think Ian Mitchell said it in the chat earlier on. Earlier in the show.
There you go. Ian beat me to it. I must have seen that. I don't think I've really changed on this one actually as the windows went forward. I think we need two central midfielders. I'm not. One of them maybe is a number 8, but I think we need someone along the lines like a deep lying number 6 midfielder who can take control of a game, because I think we lack that. We really do. I think we've seen a little bit of a difference in control. I think at the weekend there with Dujon Sterling, but again, I think you lose a little bit of his qualities when he does play a wee bit deeper. I think I want Dujon Sterling in a role where he can use his physicality. I don't really want him sitting. So. And Connor Barron's done really well in there, but again, Connor Barron's only 21 years old, right? So I don't really want to rely on a Connor Barron for the full season. I think Connor Barron needs to have someone in there next to him with a bit of experience to help him out at times, because it's not always going to go his way. So 2 central midfielders for me. That might seem, ambitious at this stage when there's only 2 weeks left, but that would be my priority. 100% a first choice striker. I don't really think I need to go into the reasons why I think we need a first choice striker. I've been on this podcast plenty of times, and my opinion on Dessers is he's not good enough. So I don't think I'm going to change my opinion on that. We've obviously just touched on the wingers there. I think we need to look at that area. A number 10 as well, because Tom Lawrence, I think we've all seen, probably isn't going to give us enough over a season in that role. And I think if you're playing a number 10, they really have to be your main creative outlet in the team. They really have to be the player that you depend on in there. And I don't see that from Tom Lawrence. So I would have to bring one in there. The last one, and before, I'm not going to cover the whole team, I promise, but I said this a couple of weeks ago, I think we need another central defender. Like, I really do. I don't think we have the depth in there. I think Robin Properers came in, he's looked quite tidy. What I really like from him is he's quite aggressive at stepping out and winning the ball. When he first played against Motherwell, I thought he was a wee bit shaky at that, but he looked good in the 2 games after. So I don't have any concerns with him. John Souttar's a little bit up and down. I think you've seen a wee bit more of John Souttar at the weekend, back to his best. But a Ben Davis and a Leon Balogun is your backup. I'm not convinced. I mean, Leon Balogun's out injured again, and he's hardly really kicked the ball. And Ben Davis, I think we all feel probably just isn't good enough. So I think we need another central defender as well. So I think we've got a lot to do in the next 2 weeks. If I'm being realistic as a fan here, I don't think we're going to be able to look at every one of those areas. So probably I would put it in the list that I went through. That would be my priority. But I certainly think we have a lot to do, and I can tell by the comments that everyone thinks we have a lot to do as well. So yeah, it's going to be a busy few weeks. It's probably worth saying as well, we need to get players out. we'll probably come on to that, but you can't have a Todd Cantwell and a Yanis Hadji sitting in the B team or in the academy doing nothing, right? And that is what is holding us back from addressing all of these areas. So the club have to be looking at that. They need to be out the door in the next week because we're not going to have enough time towards the end of the window to address things. So yeah, it's going to be busy.
Yeah, you are not joking. Kyran, I'll ask a very similar question to you, and I'll actually bring up a comment by our very own Ian Mitchell here. It says, depends on the formation, Clement wants. If you stuck 4-2-3-1, it's got to be that number 10 position. And it looks like, I think that was the one thing that, the two things I saw, nobody mentioned goalkeeper. I think every other position was offered up as a replacement there. And everybody said that a 10 had to be the priority. Do you agree with that in terms of we have to have somebody? Is that the thing that Rangers are missing at the minute? Because, I mean, I think Tom Lawrence is a half-decent player, but he's never a 10 for me.
Yeah, the crazy thing is we've got 3 number 10s. In fact, we've got 4 if you want to include Lowry in that. So we're trying to get short of Hadji, Lowry, Cantwell. We've got Tom Lawrence in there who... He's not what we need, put it that way. We need a more dynamic number 10, someone that can move around. But again, I touched on it in our chat after the game at the weekend. I thought we looked our strongest with Sterling, Diamande and Barron in there. I actually thought we looked really good and fully in control of the game. And you think that's a very young middle 3. So for me, I think you prioritise a 6 in there and try and give a wee bit more. In that way, Sterling can sort of rotate with Tav at right back, who again didn't give the best display at the weekend. So I think there's going to be question marks there considering his form in August, never mind what his form's going to be like in March, April, May. So we need to probably be looking for cover for right back or a number 6 to come in. And do we push Sterling back to right back? I don't know. I'm not so sure. So yeah, it's got to be somewhere in the central midfield. I would have said striker as well. I know Ross touched on it. There's no point in diving into it. I think we seem to do it every single week, but I just don't think we've got the firepower up top in which to go and win a league or win anything at this point. I know he's in a rich vein of form, but that's a lot of short-term memories in there. We've got to remember that we were let down at the best of times. So up front again, Danilo's a backup. I thought he showed flashes of good things at the weekend. We've still not seen the best of Danilo, so we're not really sure what we're going to get. And Igmane at this point seems like one of these football players they make a documentary about that gets sent to another country and doesn't actually seem to be a football player at all. He's like a catfish or something.
Yeah.
Like God knows what is going on there. It'd be good if someone asked him tomorrow at the press conference. I don't know if we've got anybody going along that could pose a question to the manager to try and get something a bit more accurate on it. It just seems very unusual that he's not had game time for the B team, or he's not really, I don't know, is he taking part in full training sessions? I don't know. So for me, if we were to make one signing, it's got to be a centre mid for me. That's a priority, absolute priority. I think somebody said the boy, is it Joan Jordan that we went in for? Sevilla looking to offload him completely now. I wonder if it would change his mind without a club if we approached and come in with a lower wage.
Yeah, no, that is the exact type of profile that we should be signing at. And like, I mean, if people want to go back and check out the pod a few pods ago, I was absolutely delighted that we were linked with Juan Jordan. So yeah, hopefully there is something in that. But I totally agree with you. I think we have to sign a 10, that creative player up front, just to keep things ticking over, because we're missing some creativity and between the, and a link between the wingers and Cyriel Dessers. But, a couple of the comments here, Paul McGorrigle says Castledine from Chelsea as a 10, and I don't know about that, but like a player I would like to come in and see. But in terms of Chelsea, what are they calling all the players that have been ousted at the minute? The bomb squad. It'll be absolutely fascinating to see the Vultures picking apart who's going there. And
I heard something good about that Castledine, by the way. Is it his mum that's a woman on Homes Under the Hammer?
That's what a fact that is, man.
I swear, I think I heard it on another podcast, but That's fantastic. That would be the most cinch thing ever if we had the women from Homes Under the Hammer's son playing for Rangers.
And he was a boss as well. But there we go. No, but and Jim back here says we're not buying anyone unless the mercenaries leave. And that brings me on to my next point nicely here, Ross. There was some rumours that, again, rearing its head, that Leeds are interested in Matondo. Daniel Farke apparently tried to sign him when he was at Norwich. I know there was some chat at the weekend that people felt that he had a good game against St Johnstone, that he linked up with Hefty at times well. But what did you... Matondo's surely got to be a guy that if an offer comes in for him, we're waving bye-bye, thank you and goodbye.
Yeah, I think he must be one of the players that Clement was referencing when they were told their chances or their opportunities this season will be limited. I think Rabbi Matondo's had his time at Rangers. He's had plenty of opportunities to show his quality, and unfortunately, he's way too inconsistent. His decision making is just really, really poor for this level. Someone with the technical ability and the pace that he has, he doesn't really know how to use it, and that worries me at his age. I would have expected him to have worked that out by now. Now, I did think he was okay at the weekend. But that's not enough, because he doesn't do it in the bigger moments. He doesn't make the impact that you're wanting from a player that was brought in for whatever 1.52 million and is reportedly on 20-25 grand a week, right? He's just not delivering value. So Ryan Matondo has to be one that the club are trying to move on. Clement referenced this last week. It's very, very difficult. You can't put a gun to a player's head and say, you have to go. If I was in Rabbi Matondo's position and I wasn't getting great offers and I was on that type of money at Rangers, I would be sitting on it as well, right? So it's very, very difficult to criticise the player as just doing what most people would do in that situation. But if there is interest from a Leeds United and they're willing to come to the table with any sort of fee or any sort of loan deal, whatever, then yeah, Rangers have to pick up the phone and try and make a deal. My honest take on this is I just don't believe it. I just can't see it. I've read tonight that Leeds United have just signed a boy from Almeria, Ramazani, I think his name is, for 10 million, right? So I think if you've got that ability to go out and spend that sort of money in the Championship, right, I don't think they're going to be looking at Rabbi Matondo, because I think we can all say that since Rabbi Matondo's been here, he's not really shown a lot. Okay, scored some great goals at the end of last season, but that's really it. He's just... I felt sorry for him when he first came in. Didn't feel he had a lot of opportunities. Felt like he kept playing out of position on the right-hand side. And I thought, this boy's he's not getting the chance to show what he can do. I think he's had plenty of chances now. He's not good enough. So he has to be one that the club try and move on this window. Whether Leeds United are a realistic place for him to go, I'm not convinced. And I think with the money that Ryan Matondo is on, I think he's going to be very, very difficult to move on in this window.
Yeah, Stevie Scott 19 says, if Leeds want Matondo, I'll happily drive him down there. He's produced absolutely nothing going into his third season. An astronomical wage, good luck. Not good enough, sorry. And yeah, totally agree. I remember him making his debut for us against West Ham and him scoring that goal and thinking, no, we've got a player here, but he's done nothing up until that equaliser in the extra time last year. And listen, Kyran, I'll come to you. Another player that's clearly not, well, definitely not in Clement's plans, because he's come out and said it as much as Yanis Hadji, rumoured interest from Rapid Bucharest. I just automatically assumed that was still Bucharest. But obviously they've got some cash from a name that has definitely been mentioned on this podcast, Albin Rahmani, who went to Sparta Prague. It's best for all involved that he gets a move. I don't think Romania would be a bad place for him, but what do you think would be a reasonable fee for Hadji? There's a question and a half for you.
Oh, right, okay. I'd be happy if we get back what we paid from, what was that, 3.5, 4 million?
3.5, yeah.
I don't know if that's realistic, though, let's be honest. I think they've been pretty vocal with their interest in this one, so I think this is real. Am I right in saying that the chairman's came out and they've made a bit of noise regarding signing Hadji, which is obviously going to get people very excited in Romania, probably a bit more excited than when they heard that Neil Lennon was going to be their manager and leave after 6 games. So for me, I feel for Hadji. I think in Hadji's terms, he's shown unbelievable attitude. You look at what he's done with the B team. He's never said a bad word in turn. He loves it here, but unfortunately, he probably in the same boat as Rabbi Matondo hasn't ripped up trees since he came in. He had that one sort of the good loan spell, and then we signed him, and he didn't really kick on after that. Don't get me wrong. There was a handful of important goals in the 55 season, but there wasn't those standout performances that they thought we were getting. But he's another one that comes under the Ross Wilson mess and the damage that he's done. And you look at the current squad between Hadji, Matondo and Ben Davies, you're talking over £10 million worth of players on astronomical wages that we just can't seem to shift. And it's hindering what we want to do now. So in terms of Hadji himself as a player, I wish him all the best. I really do, because his attitude has been first class. You compare and contrast to what we're having to deal with Cantwell right now. He's been an absolute baby with his posts on Instagram and his attitude. And I don't think people are asking, why is Cantwell not playing with the B team? I imagine that Cantwell's probably refusing to play with the B team. That's my own opinion.
Yeah.
And you look at Hadji, he's taking over. So if you're a buy-in manager, like, what type of player would you rather coach and manage? Yanis Hadji, who seems to have the attitude that wants to play football, loves to train, he's a name, or would you rather have Todd Cantwell, who's now on his second club where he spat the dummy out and seems to just want to put cryptic posts up on his social media? For me, it's Yanis Hadji.
Yeah, I totally agree. It is an odd one. I would love to pick Clement's brains and ask him why he doesn't fancy Hadji, especially given our complete lack of options at the 10 at the moment. But I suppose that's something we might find out in a few years' time. But look, there's a few comments coming here about what people would think would be an acceptable fee for Hadji. Paul McGorrigle says 3-4 million, RFC 72, the exact same. CGM 55 said would take 2 million for Hadji, unrealistic to get much more, although I would ask for the 8 like they quoted us for Rahmani. Sobo says probably about 2 million is the best we will get, and RFC 72 also added on, or take less and have a hefty sell-on percentage included, which is exactly the type of thing that I can see Rangers going, and then we'll make a few million quid when he gets his inevitable move to Galatasaray at some point. Look, another story. Are you going to kick in there, Kieran?
I was going to say, the thing is, if you were to move him on for somewhere for between 3 and 4 million, imagine you took that money and invested it in a Lennon Miller. That would be such a positive move. It would be a real positive move. Don't get me wrong, we do need experience in the middle of the pitch, but again, back to the thing about buying young players that would trend towards making his money. That's the type of thing that we need to be doing. Whether or not we do that is 100% a different story.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like a sensible option. So Rangers probably won't be doing it. But Ross, I'll just get your thoughts on another story from last night. I know we tweeted about it on our This Is Ibrox X feed, and it was to do with Cyriel Dessers. The backstory about Cyriel Dessers was Atlanta United had been in negotiations with Rangers over a $6 million deal for the striker Cyriel Dessers. The agreement between the clubs was close, but the move wasn't agreed on the player side. If true, what do you make of this?
I'm gutted, to be honest. If Atlanta United were willing to offer that sort of money for Cyriel Dessers, a 29-year-old, Rangers would be able to recoup really what they paid for him last summer. You get that fee, you move on his salary, and he's knocked it back. Then, yeah, I'm gutted, because I think that is the type of deal that Rangers would have to take. They can't afford to knock that back. I know there's the other side of it at the moment. Cyriel Dessers does look to be the only player that can regularly score you goals, and unfortunately that just shows you that kind of squad makeup. But I think that's one of those deals where you take it and you worry about that after, because that is really good money, I think, for Cyriel Dessers at this point. His value is only going to go down, right? It's only going to depreciate. This is second year here. I think if you're being offered that sort of money, the club would have to take it. It sounds like the club were willing to take it. It sounds like the club were in negotiations and we're trying to find a fee. I think we read earlier in the summer that Rangers were looking to pretty much recruit what they paid for him last summer. Now, I didn't really believe that at the time, right? I thought Rangers would take a bit lower. It's probably just setting it out there. So if anyone coming to the table knows they can't pick him up for nothing. But I think if you're being offered that sort of fee in the last couple of days from Atlanta United, yeah, I'm gutted. I don't know why Cyriel Dessers wouldn't want to make a move like that, go and play in the MLS at this stage of his career, make good 40, 50 grand a week. It sounds pretty good to me. I probably would have taken that if I was him. So yeah, I'm gutted with that one, because I think if you can move on Cyriel Dessers, I know we don't have a lot up there, and I understand when people say back, oh, but how could you sell him? We don't have anything else. I just think if you're bringing in a £4.5 million, right, based on obviously the conversion rate or whatever, I would back Rangers to be able to go and replace Cyriel Dessers with that money, right? I really do think you could get something for 2 or 3 million that could come in and hopefully score as many goals as Cyriel Dessers. The way I look at it is Cyriel Dessers our long-term answer as a Rangers striker, like a first-choice Rangers striker? No, he's not. And anyone that says he is lying to themselves. So you're offered that sort of money, I think you've got to take it. So it looks like Rangers are willing to, but unfortunately, again, and Cyriel Dessers is well within his rights to do this, by the way. Clearly, he loves Rangers and he wants to stay here, and I totally get it. So if he wants to stay, that's up to him. That the deal has to be agreed in all parties. I'm just disappointed from the club perspective, because I think that would have been a really good deal for us. But we'll need to be patient, and we hope before the end of the window that Dessers gets a move that he wants as well, because that's of course really important.
Yeah, there's actually some mixed comments here about it, which I'm not surprised about, but it's always nice to, with Rangers fans, you always get a balance, and you kind of land somewhere in the middle with the two sides or the two opinions. But Kyle1872 here says, offload Dessers immediately. This guy won't improve. Is the zenith of his performances at Rangers. Pete Lawrence says Dessers is robust. He's got a few good years in him, I think. Paul McGarrigle says if Dessers went, you could go and you can get Nisbet for £1 million, which I know that would definitely excite you, Ross. Not
now. It would have before he moved, but no, not now. He's had an absolute stinker down there. So no, I'll rule myself out of that one. We should have got him before he made that move, but that's another thing.
That's Ross after Nisbet Express.
Pete Lawrence makes a great point there that Dessers is robust. He's probably one of the only consistent players that haven't really had an injury. Touch wood, it doesn't happen for us, and that's probably something that's been pretty crucial. But the same as Ross in this one, I'm absolutely gutted. This one, it's not went through. It's not prioritised in terms of the club trying to move him on, because it still gives us another solid 10 days to bring in a replacement. And you would hope we would have somebody lined up if we did manage to move on. You could then go out and probably get someone like again Slasher off the budget. If rumours are right, he's on more than 30,000 a week. Are we getting our bang for the buck there? I'm not quite sure. Again, falls into the same bracket as Tom Lawrence. He's not really what we need. It's a tough one. 4.5 million would have really changed things. You could probably get a half-decent striker to replace what he does for 2.5 million and use the other two to bring in a solid centre mid.
I maybe sit slightly differently with the two of you on this, but I think we would be mental to let Dessers go at this stage of the season. See if that Atlanta thing had happened a few weeks ago, because on paper he's our only informed player at the minute. 3 goals and assists in 5 games isn't that bad. He's the only person getting the goals for us. I just think it would be a bit mental letting Dessers go at the minute. What do you think about that?
Even if we had someone lined up.
So even if we did have somebody lined up, how they're not going to come in and hit. I couldn't tell you the last time a striker for Rangers came in and hit the ground running.
It's Scotland, though. It shouldn't be hard for a half-decent striker to score goals with the amount of chances we create. Everybody says that about him, right? Okay, get over 20 goals last season, double figures for assists as well, which has been an excellent return. But Ross hit the nail right in the head. We're at the stage where we're not going to get this type of money next season, regardless of what he scores. We need to, again, we go over it again and again and again. We need to sell at the right time. In terms of Dessers, 4.5 million, you would be off your head to knock that back. I know we've not knocked it back if the rumours are true, but this should be one we should be trying to push out the door if we have got our eye on another person. Maybe the plans have changed now that Albin Rachmani's moved on to Prague. Who knows? And that was our number one option to replace him. But for me, 4.5 million right now for 29-year-old Cyriel Dessers is outstanding business if we get it.
Yeah, no. Listen, again, it's hard to disagree with what you've said there, but it would just be the most Rangers thing ever to let their. Again, I know he's not everybody's flavour of the month. I've certainly come on and criticised him in this podcast, but he is in form at the minute, and we'd go and sell a striker, and then they'd be scoring the goals for us. But listen,
but again, Kyle, where do we stand in terms of the MLS window? So even if it was shut, if there's a still open, I don't know when there's runs from and to. Can we still sell them?
I've no idea. If you give me a wee minute, I will check the key dates for the 24. I believe we could still sell them, but we couldn't bring anybody in, is my understanding of it.
I think with Dessers, and I understand your point, Kel, that I think we would all be in that case, right? Where if Dessers was potentially looking to move on and you knew that deal was coming, I think the whole support would probably sit back and think, okay, right, he's moving on. We've got a bit of a problem. But that's a short-term problem, I think. I think the club have got to look long-term at the moment, right? And Dessers, for me, is just... I just don't think he's worth 4.5 million, right? That's probably the best way to put it. So if someone offered you 4.5 million, you've just got to take it. And you've got to hope that Niels Koppen has built a recruitment team now and has a network that would be able to go and identify a replacement. You'd really like to think that would be in place, not necessarily the deal being in place, but it would have a list of kind of targets that we could go and look at. I just don't think we can be knocking back that sort of money for a player, regardless of whether you take a short-term hit. We are only in August, and we've seen Cyriel Dessers in big moments not deliver. And that is likely to happen again. Maybe I'm being harsh. Probably I'm being harsh. But I just suspect that's probably going to happen again. So even though you're in August and you're like, oh, but he's the only one scoring the goals right now, I get it. But long-term for the club, I just think that decision would make way more sense. And Rangers could actually now properly start changing the model. You're selling someone at 4.5 million and 29-year-old at a peak, and you can go and reinvest that in a 21, 22, 23-year-old that comes in for a lower fee, and you develop and you push them on. I just think it would be a no-brainer for me. But unfortunately, Dessers doesn't want to go, so we're stuck going.
Well, that's it. It's a couple of comments. Fraser Darwin, I actually think, sums up maybe what I was saying a bit better than how I said it. But he says, Dessers isn't good enough, but he's the absolute least of our problems at the minute, and that says it all. And by the way, just for clarification, I'm saying that if I'm glad the club accepted a £4.5 million bid for Dessers, but I just... letting our informed striker go would be the most Rangers thing ever. And William 01 here says, it just shows you nobody wants the likes of Cantwell or Hadji, who some fans love, but teams are coming in for Dessers, who are supposedly shite. And it's not just Atlanta. There's been teams in Italy that have been linked with them as well. So, listen, we've got the last 10 minutes of the podcast. One wee point, Kieran, I'll come to you first. There was a tweet that Rangers put out earlier on today about the Dundee game. It just left a wee bit at the bottom, which I think got a few fans excited because they did not confirm the venue of where we would be playing Dundee in the next round of the Scottish League Cup. It looks like it might be time to start talking that we might be back at Ibrox. How excited will you be if we are back at Ibrox by that game?
Oh my God, I really hope so. And I'll tell you something, I've never heard the word aspirational so much in all my life since it came out of John Bennett's mouth, man. I know the aspirational date was the 28th of September. Excellent. I wonder with things now being on track, if that's had a slight bearing on what we can go and spend, because you think how much this may actually be costing us in terms of rent in Hampden, no continuous credit scheme, nobody really wanting to go to Hampden when you look at the attendance against St Johnstone. Our own stadium, how much it's costing, because when things go over budget in construction, they go over budget by quite a lot. I can't imagine it's pretty cheap hiring a crane week by week and paying workers week by week and companies to build in your premises week by week and what you could be earning by being in the stadium. That's the real moneymaker for us. bring in things like New Edmondson House that's not making a penny at the moment, which should be. So, yeah, it's our home, and it's probably one of these ones where, look, if we keep churning out results, however bad performances might be, going back to Ibrox will give the squad quite a lift and give the fans a lift. So it's quite important that we kind of stay in the running for there, keep the season on track. And I think it might play a part in Clement's mentality towards, right, where can we be come getting back into Ibrox and really start to kick on there, because we've got a few new players in the door who haven't experienced that proper atmosphere of Ibrox. So it is a big deal. And in terms of a fan, we've all got our routines. We've all got the things that we love about going to Ibrox. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I absolutely detest Hampden as a stadium. I think you'll back me up here, Kyle, because I've seen your seat as well. And Jesus Christ, mate, you've been as well as watching it in the house.
You need to bring an umbrella and sunglasses to sit in that seat, man. I couldn't believe it. But I got a nice view of Willie Vass taking his photographs down there, so that's fair play there. But Paul McGorrigle here says it won't be Ibrox. Pitch needs 3 to 4 weeks. Don't kill my buzz, Paul, like that. And RFC 72 says, be excited to get back at Ibrox until I see the team playing, and then the excitement will disappear. Ross, I'll come to you with this next question here. It's obviously the last sort of 10 minutes of the podcast. We kind of always look ahead to the weekend games, seeing as we don't have any Europa League Thursdays yet. Straightforward question. There was a bit more positivity about the weekend, so I'll try and keep it a bit positive. What must Rangers do against Ross County that they did against St Johnstone at the weekend?
Well, yeah, I have to say that I do think it was a better performance at the weekend against St Johnstone. I will say that St Johnstone don't look great this season. I think they're really going to struggle. I know they had a good result the previous weekend against Kilmarnock, but they don't look great. So you've got to throw that in there. But I thought we did have a bit more energy about us. I thought we created a lot of good chances, especially in the first half, and we're unlucky not to take them with Danilo. Maybe second half it's seen a slight dip, but again, you go and get the 2 goals, which I think Rangers deserved. I think coming into the last couple of minutes before Ross McCausland scored, I don't think 1-0 was reflective of the game. I think Rangers deserved to be up and in control. So I was glad when McCausland got that. But I think overall we played a lot better. I think you've seen a bit of a freshness to the team. I think Jefty is just, I think a lot of people are holding on to him right now. Like, he really is. He's one of the new signings, and I think you're seeing a lot of positive aspects of his play, regardless of where he plays, whether it's left back or left midfield or left forward, whatever. He's shown a lot, which is the support's given a lot to hold on to. Seen more of Danilo as well. I think we're still seeing a wee bit of the Danilo we've seen last season, where he maybe doesn't take enough of his chances, unfortunately. And it was good to see the likes of Dujon Sterling things start the game. So I think overall, I'm with you. I think we just have to try and be a wee bit more positive about things. Ross County are not coming into this in great form. They went out the League Cup to Spartans at the weekend, so that's an absolutely shocking result for them. So they're not going to be coming with a lot of confidence to Hampden. So I'd like us to really go and take advantage of that. It'll be good to see kind of Connor Barron and things coming back into the side, because I thought we were okay in midfield, but I think he gives us a bit of a difference in there. Kieran Dill just doesn't really give me enough. He just doesn't show enough, whereas Connor Barron makes an impact. So, look, I'm with you, Kyle. I think we just need to try and be positive about things, especially towards the end of the window. Rangers have always, look, we've got this game, and then we know what game is coming up, right? We know it's going to be a really difficult task going to Parkhead. Unfortunately, with the way they're playing at the moment as well, it's going to be really, really difficult. So I'd like us to try and get through this, put on a bit of a good performance, and then you're building up to that game with a bit of positivity, a bit of hope. The worst thing for us, I think, would be going into this game against Ross County the weekend and you kind of squeeze by, and there's not really anything to hold on to, because you know the feeling amongst the support building up to that game, what it's going to be. So I'm just hoping we put a bit of a performance in this weekend, maybe go and win by 2 or 3. Not really been able to show that level yet. But yeah, I'm with you. Just try and be a wee bit more positive about things, because we did get the result last weekend, and we need to try and build some going into that game at the end of the month.
Well, that's it. 2-0 and a clean sheet. I'll away from home. I'll take it all day long. And Kieran, a similar question to yourself. Do you think we'll see, more of Danilo this weekend? He got a 45 minutes. I thought he could have had a couple of goals. And do you think that we will see Sterling in that midfield again at the weekend?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say to you. I really want to see the Sterling, Barron, Diamande in at centre mid, starting at centre mid. Kieran Dowell, I forgot, was playing last week. There's another one. He'll be the Matondo of next season. We just can't shift and he's on good wages. Anyway, aside from that, that's the middle three. The reason I want to see starting with an eye on Parkhead. I think everybody's going to say that when we look towards next week and folk are picking their team. I'd be very surprised if that wasn't the middle three. And a confidence booster. And one other thing, please, no injuries, no more injuries. It's just we seem to get freak injuries and that. But Sterling's completely crucial to us in what we do. We need to start seeing him more regularly in the squad in a regular position because he's a fantastic player, a fantastic young player. So we really hope he kicks on and he can stay healthy and injury free. But yeah, in terms of Danilo, I can see it being Dessers starting this weekend, considering that he came on and contributed with the goal. I thought it was a decent enough 45 minutes. We looked a bit more dynamic with Danilo up front, but I can see him coming off the bench in this game. Probably a decent one to come off the bench in too. Again, it would really bolster the squad to have another striker that is a different option available. So yeah, that middle three is the main one for me, and no injuries.
It's worth saying as well, Kyle, we can't, Raskan and Cortez can't be far away now from coming back. Yeah. Maybe Cortez in another week. But I think based on the timeline we were given for Raskan, he can't be far away. I'd be surprised if he maybe wasn't in training at the end of this week or early next week. So that's a boost for us as well, because I think we all realise we're quite short in midfield. So to get a player back like that and then a Cortez on the left-hand side, if you get one of them back for going to Parkhead, I think that puts us in a stronger position. So we'll see what's said in the press conference later this week.
Well, that's it exactly. But there's a wee couple of interesting comments I just want to pick out here. But Paul McGorrigle says Egaman will be on the bench, and that'll be absolutely fascinating if that happens. But Bluebells are Blue, who's one of our subscribers, comes in and says Egaman will be 2 to 3 weeks, mate. And then he also follows that up with he's apparently looking the real deal in training, but we all know how doing it on the park is very different. Where have we heard that about Sam Lammers before?
Brandon Barker, supposedly one of the best players that anyone had ever seen in training, Brandon Barker, but could not replicate it on a football pitch at the weekend. So yeah, let's hope he can translate it when he gets fit. But we'll just have to wait and see in that one.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very excited to see him when he does play. And CGM 55 here says Ajax was 5 weeks ago. It was 4 to 6 weeks, so probably Christmas for Raskin, which is fair enough. But listen, just before we go, I know, as you said, Ross, we haven't had the full injury news proper. May or may not be. We'll wait till for the press conference tomorrow to see if he's fit and available. But Kieran, I'll just start. Have you got a sort of predicted lineup that you'd like to see at the weekend?
Yeah, let's go. Button and goals. Right back is going to be Tavernier, we know that. Might not, actually. I say that, I've got nothing else for the middle. Butland goals, Tavernier right back. It'll probably be Suter and Davis centre back. I don't know how much he'll want to risk proper against with the Old Firm game ahead. Hopefully he's back, but I'd probably like to see him start on the bench. Left back, Yefte. Middle three, Sterling, Barron, Diamande. On the right, let's see Czerny starting again. I've liked what I've seen of him. I think I thought he had a good game last week. Left wing, who started left wing? St Johnson? Remind me.
Matondo.
Oh God. I hope Matondo's at Leeds. So then it's Scott Wright. Oh, Jesus, this is getting worse, man. We'll play without a left winger, and then up front we'll go with Danilo. I did say I think this is the start, but that's how I would start.
No, that's fair enough. And Ross, yourself?
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any surprises. Mine, it's Butland, Tav, Suter, Davis, GFD. I think it will be Barron, Diamande, and Lawrence, because Lawrence was obviously rested through the week or was ill supposedly. I think it'll be Czerny on the right, Matondo left, and Dessers up front.
Perfect. And a wee score prediction from you, Ross?
4-0 Rangers.
Oh, I'll take that all day long. Kieran, what about yourself?
I'll go 3-0.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But listen, I think that just about wraps it up for tonight. I thought that was a really good chat, guys, about all things Rangers. Relatively positive for transfers for once, but I think we all know that one needs to go out before one can come in. So we'll see what that goes. I think there's 9 or 10 days left. The transfer shuts on the 30th of August at
I think it's 11:30 p.m.
I think so, and I also think Kale's absolutely gone.
I think he wasn't. He was just posing. Complete silence.
It looks like he's gone. Right, okay, I think I'll close this for him. So I think he might be back.
Oh, he's back.
I think. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Having an absolute
There's
disaster.
thunderstorms here. That's what's going on.
You were just saying there when it went offline, you would give Matondo a new deal.
Yeah, so I was, man. I know, but I was just saying, look, I think that sums up. That was a very relatively positive podcast. In terms of the transfers we've been talking about, it's good. I think we all know one needs to go out before one needs to come in. But listen, I'll wrap it up there. We'll be back at the weekend. It'll be myself and Tommy bringing you a reaction from the game as soon as it's done. Hopefully, we'll be talking about those 4 goals. You might even see Gaman scored one. But catch us on all the usual socials. You know where to get us. And if we've got a good wee community on line now in terms of the audio podcast, in terms of giving us a listen to after the game. So catch us on Spotify or Apple. But as always, thanks everybody. Thanks for the comments. Seen a good new few names in there as well. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you all again at the weekend.